So a little while back, Nintendo announced they'd be using game key cards on the Switch 2. Now, there's some bad news here, but there's also been some good news that came out very recently here. So in this video, we'll talk about the good news, we'll talk about the bad news, I'll give you my thoughts. But let's go ahead and start with what exactly the game key card is on the Switch 2. And you can see on Nintendo's website here, they say game key cards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game key card is your key to downloading the full game to your system via the internet. So it's essentially a combo of a physical game and a digital game. And if you scroll down, they actually give you a guide on how to do this. So basically, you pop the game key card in the system like a normal Switch game. Then you download the game, and then you play the game. So again, combo of physical and digital, put the game in, download the game, then you play. So there's some pros and cons here, which we'll talk about. Let's go ahead and start with our good news here, which is actually that Nintendo followed up on a question recently and said they have no plans to use game key cards for first-party developed titles. This means like Mario Kart World. Actually, I can just pop over here and see what kind of games they got for 2025 that are first-party. So Mario Kart World, we got Donkey Kong Bonanza, we got Kirby, Metroid, we got Zelda, Drag X Drive. But anyways, first-party games like this will not use the game key card situation. So you basically get your case, you get your normal game with the game on the cartridge itself. So great for collectors that want to play their games in 30 years without having to download stuff from the internet, which we'll talk about the whole caveat there a little bit later. But you can see that looks like Nintendo Life, they said they reached out to Nintendo UK for confirmation about whether they should see the same approach as in game key cards for Mario, Link, Samus, that sort of thing. And they said, we currently have no plans to use game key cards for Nintendo developed titles. So that's great news. And then we have a little bit more depth here from another interview with Doug Bowser here. You can see we scroll down. He says, in the immediate future, physical games are still a key part of our business. We value our relationships, in particular with other retailers, and want to make sure we have products available for them to sell to their consumers. So the first part of this sounds like they're essentially creating a way for companies to sell digital games but still provide a case and a cartridge to the retailer. So let's say they want to still partner with Target and be on Target's good side. So they want to give some games to Target to put on the shelf, even though they aren't actually physical. Well, they kind of are because it's a physical cartridge, but you actually download the game data from the internet. So you see what I'm saying? They're trying to keep these relationships positive so that they can continue to sell in like Target, Walmart, GameStop, that sort of thing. That's how I read this. And then further than that, there's still a few more reasons why they're doing this. They say, when you look at game key cards, for us, our goal with the Switch 2 is similar to what we accomplished with the Switch. The original Switch is to have the broadest and deepest library of content we possibly can, and that includes our publishing partners. And game key cards are a way that our publishing partners are able to bring more content onto the platform, deeper and larger, more immersive content on the platform. So they're essentially saying, hey, we made this so that third-party publishers are able to still publish games on our platform. And, instead of having 5,000 games on our platform, maybe we'll end up with 6,000 because the extra 1,000 is coming from these people that are able to take advantage of the game key card and publish games that they probably wouldn't have otherwise. So, how does this help publishers? Well, as far as I can tell, there's a couple of different reasons. First of all, you can see the max cartridge size on the Switch 2 is actually 64 gigabytes. So let's say we have, we're trying to sell Madden 25 and maybe Madden 25 takes up 75 gigabytes. How are you going to fit that on a 64 gigabyte cartridge? Well, use a game key card. So you buy a game key card, pop it in, tells the internet like, hey, let's download those 75 gigs. You download it and you bypass the whole situation of having to fit it into a 64 gigabyte cartridge size. And you can see here, confirmed by CD Projekt Red, that Cyberpunk 2077 will already require the maximum amount of space. So you can just see there's going to be games over the next few years that require, 70 gigs, 80 gigs, maybe 100 gigs, whatever. And yeah, they got to use a game key card. Maybe there's another situation where you can use two cartridges, kind of like, for example, GTA 5, you had two discs. I don't know if that'll be a thing with cartridges here, but game key card is basically a way to bypass that. And the second reason, as far as I can tell, is that cartridges are apparently very expensive for developers. I remember them being expensive on the original Switch. I don't know exactly how much, and maybe these costs will come down, but you can see here, this guy on Twitter says cartridge costs are $16 each for Switch 2 games, which is a bit absurd. So let's say you're selling a game for $30, more than half your cost is taken up by the cartridge cost. So obviously developers want to sell digitally, and I don't actually know the difference between how much it'll cost for a cartridge with no data on it versus a cartridge with data on it, but I would assume you're saving some money here. But that's another caveat here. You can see that they're as to probably why they're going the game key card route instead of selling a cartridge or maybe two cartridges with game data on them. Now, there could be another point here I've missed. Let me know down below if I am, but as far as I can tell, that is why the game key card cartridges are here today. Now, I'm still kind of 50-50 on this. Like, I personally, I see why it's good and why it's bad. let me go ahead and just start with why I see it's good or an upgrade over certain things. And first of all, we'll start with the fact that you can still collect Switch games this way because it comes in the case. You can still display it on your shelf, and you can get a nice Switch collection like so. And also, it's an upgrade over the Switch games that were quite literally like a case. Like, you can still display this on your shelf as well, but there was no game cartridge. It was literally just a code inside, which is just like the most absurd thing to me. Like, I get maybe you want to display this on your shelf, but like at this point, just get the digital game. You can't even sell this. You can't trade this or anything. It's literally a case with a download code inside, which is just like, just can't stand it, man. It's not good stuff there. Now, I've kind of hinted at the fact that you can, the good thing is, it's physical games, so you can still buy and resell these things. So that really gets over a huge hurdle of digital games that I've never been a fan of. Like, me personally, if I hop on the PlayStation Store on release day of, let's go with Madden 25 again. I hop on release day, buy Madden 25 for $70. I'm stuck with that forever. I can't sell it to anybody else. I can't, play it for 3 weeks, then resell it for $40 or whatever. I spent $70 and that was that. So if I don't like the game, I'm screwed. Now, the nice thing about these game key cartridges is that you can still, as you can see here, confirmed, you can borrow and resell Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards. So basically, you can give this to your friend to play. You can give it back to yourself to play. Give it to your other friend to play. You can sell it back to GameStop. Hopefully, there could be some caveats here where GameStop is like, we're not going to buy game key cards. I don't see why they wouldn't, because it essentially acts like a normal game card, except for you got to download from the internet once you plug it in. But that is the nice thing. You can buy a game, you can plug it in your cartridge or plug it in your system, download it, play it for a month or two, and then resell it if you don't like it or you just want to get rid of it, you beat the game, whatever. It's really a big thing for me, honestly, because I've always just like digital games. That's the most annoying thing to me, is the fact that I can't resell it. If I don't like the game, I don't want the game anymore. Now, obviously, the main issue here is the fact that you don't get an actual, you don't get data on your cartridge. So let's say, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 years from now, collectors are, they get their shelf full of 10,000 Switch 2 games. How are you going to play these games? Like, is there still going to be a server to download these games from? Do you already have to have these games downloaded? Like, I can just see this problem popping up, and it's a problem we've talked about with, PS4, PS5, Series X, because they've already had this same situation on PS5, Series X for a while, where you plug you put your disc in and it just downloads all the data from the internet. There's not actually anything on the disc except for the key, and it's kind of going to be a problem. Like, are these companies really going to keep their servers up forever to download these games forever? I can't imagine they will. So you're looking at a very real situation 20 years from now. Let's use Madden 25 again. You're trying to download Madden 25 in 2075, and you can't download it because there's no way to download it anymore. You don't have it on your cartridge. It's a downloaded game. So that's obviously the main drawback there. As with all digital games, you can't download them once the store is gone. So guys, let me know what you think about this whole situation. Still 50-50 for me. I, of course, would prefer the physical games that are physical all the way. You plug it in, you play it, don't download anything. So yeah, let me know down below what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.